Hello and welcome to this, my latest chess video. This shows a game that I played yesterday. It's between myself as white and my favourite chess engine, which is Numpty 0.7 PR at the moment. Now I know Chris Tatham, Numpty's author and programmer, is working on a newer, stronger version of Numpty, and I look forward to that. And I hope you can take some notes from this game as well, Chris. Well, there are lots of moves to show in this game, and so I have to crack on now and play through the game fairly quickly to get them all in. Okay, the game, as I say, was played on Tuesday the 15th of November 2011. So I'll start with my first favourite white move, opening e4. Numpty replies e5, knight f3, knight c6. Now I can play d4. This is the start of the Scotch opening, my favourite white opening. Numpty plays e takes d, I play knight takes d, and now Numpty has several moves. In fact, Numpty here plays bishop b4 check, which is known as the Malanuik variation. It's not as common as some of the other variations, but Numpty seems to like it, and it's perfectly playable. A more common move may have been bishop to c5, which starts the classical variation of the Scotch opening, or instead of moving the bishop, Numpty could have moved the knight to f6, where often white will play knight takes knight on c6. Black will want to capture back with the b pawn, b takes knight c6, to avoid the queens being exchanged and the black king getting stuck in the centre, having to capture the queens. And then from there white can advance the e-pawn to e5, threatening the knight on f6, and this is known as the Mies's variation. It's a variation Kasparov played a few times in his Scotch games. But anyway, simply now with my white king being in check, I play c3. Simple move, attacks the dark squared black bishop, which has to move, and Numpty takes it back now to e7. And again a simple move. This opening is reasonably simple if you can grasp these sorts of ideas and just want to play easily without too much complication. And I play knight takes knight, and why that's good for me is I'm going to force Numpty to get doubled pawns on the c-file. Numpty in fact plays d takes knight c6, and the queens are attacking one another, and I simply exchange pieces now. So queen takes queen, and Numpty takes back with the bishop, so that the king is not stuck in the centre, and the king can still castle later on. Now here I'm just reiterating that black's big weakness here is his double pawns on the c-file, and I really hope to just trade on that and profit from that throughout the game. So I develop with bishop to e3, Numpty develops with knight to f6, and I play knight to d2, developing and protecting my pawn on e4. Numpty castles kingside, I castle kingside. Numpty develops his light squared bishop to g4, attacking my rook on d1. I simply protect that and attack back the light squared bishop with f3, and Numpty moves his bishop back now to e6. And I still want to carry on my plan of simply exchanging pieces and hoping I've got the better pawn structure for the better endgame. So I play my light squared bishop to c4, hoping to trade pieces and bishops, and Numpty obliges by playing bishop takes bishop. I recapture the dark squared bishop with knight takes bishop, and now Numpty develops his dark squared bishop to e7, and I play my knight over to e5, hoping to get it on the d file, and to d7 to attack Numpty's knight and rook. Numpty now tries to undo his double pawns and also exert control on the d4 square and exert some centre pressure with pawn to c5, but I can simply play my knight now over to the square I wanted, d7, attacking Numpty's rook on f8 and his knight on f6. Numpty simply does exchange pieces with knight takes knight, and I recapture with my rook now, rook takes knight d7, and here Numpty protects his weak c-pawns with bishop to d6, which is quite a good move because it cuts my rook off on that open d-file, which could be quite useful. Well, now I just want to get those kingside pawns rolling and moving on a kingside attack with the pawns, and I start though with a very cautious g3. Perhaps I could have been more adventurous there, but I didn't. And Numpty doesn't want my pawns to roll very far, so he brings his rook into the action with rook to e8, and that's also indirectly threatening my bishop on e3. Well, I bring my other rook into the action, rook on h to d1, and Numpty goes for a direct attacking move, f5. I can't simply play e takes f, otherwise I will lose my dark squared bishop, and I think the best thing to do is rearrange my pieces and just advance the pawn, so Numpty will have to do something, because when I'm now threatening trading off bishops with e5 move. In fact, Numpty elects to play rook takes e5, whereupon I play bishop to f4, attacking the rook, and also indirectly the black bishop on d6. Numpty brings his rook out of the way to protect that, to e2, attacking my pawn on h2, h2, and keeping my king on the first rank. But the bishops are opposing, attacking one another, so I again simply trade pieces. Bishop takes bishop. Numpty plays c takes bishop on d6. I recapture with my rook, this time rook from d1 takes d6, and now Numpty simply takes my h2 pawn, rook takes h2. I play rook takes b7, wanting to get my rooks on the 7th rank, where they'll be quite strong and it can take off some more pawns and attack Numpty's black king. Numpty tries to attack my kingside pawns with rook to g2. I want to protect them a little bit, so I play g4, and Numpty plays f takes g. Now Numpty's got double pawns now on the g-file, and I don't want simply to take back and allow Numpty to have his rook strong on the g-file and with kingside pawns to attack, so I just play f4. Numpty brings his rook simply across to f2 to attack my f4 pawn, but I now play my other rook to d7, so my rooks are both on the 7th rank and can attack Numpty's g-pawns and also try and threaten his king. Numpty here doesn't elect to take my pawn straight away, but instead plays f1 check. I move my king out of the way to c2. Numpty again plays another check, f2 check, and I decide to play my king into a little hole on b3. Numpty now plays a sort of a pawn sacrifice with c4. I don't want to take that, because if I do, I think it'll make it all too easy for Numpty. He can simply play rook then takes f4 with a check, and then start to get his g-pawn rolling, his g4 pawn rolling, and that could get promoted easily. So instead I play king to a3. And now I'm going to have to go through these moves a little quicker to get them all in on the video. So here I see Numpty now trying to protect his other g-pawn with g6. I come in though with a check. Perhaps I could have taken the h7 pawn straight away, but I first start off by checking the black king. Black king moves to f8, and then I bring my other rook over to f7 check, and now I'm protecting my f4 pawn. So Numpty moves his king. I take the h7 pawn, rook takes h7. Numpty starts to get his g-pawn rolling with g3. I put the king again in check with rook to e7 check. Numpty brings his king back to f8, and this time I go after the g-pawns with rook to g7. Numpty takes my f-pawn. I take the g-pawn, g3, rook takes g6 rather, and now Numpty brings his rook into the centre. Well, here I just want to use my better pawn structure, so I can take off Numpty's pawn on g3. Now Numpty gets his other rook into the action, and I want to swap pieces off, so I play rook to h8, and Numpty moves his king, and I play rook takes rook. Numpty takes back with the king, and now I go after Numpty's queenside pawns with rook to g7. Numpty protects his pawn with pawn to a5, and I bring my rook across now to try and nabble off those pawns, and Numpty brings his rook in. I use my extra pawn now with b3, and Numpty plays c takes b, and I play a takes b. Numpty brings his king up to try and attack, and I try and attack Numpty's rook with c4. Numpty attacks my rook with king to b8. I move my rook over. Numpty moves his rook over, and now I try and swap off rooks, knowing that I have the extra pawn. Numpty brings his king in, and here I just try and use my king now with the extra pawn that I have and that I was hoping for the whole game, and I can promote now. Numpty's king can't stop me promoting, and now I just go on reducing the space and making it easy to checkmate Numpty. Put his king in the corner to a smallish box, and I bring my king in for a checkmate, and that'll be the end of the game. There it is now, mate. And I hope you've enjoyed this little video of my latest game in the Scotch Malanuik variation. Thanks. Thank you for watching.